We've been investing in property for the past 5 years, and we've done most mistakes done by beginner property investors.
What we did for you is that we compressed all of our mistakes and tips for you so that you don't have to pay the school fees.
We will be giving you the top 3 lessons that we thought were important for every property investors to understand. Number 1 would be creating relationships. Now, I can't tell you, or I can't express the importance of having relationships when it comes towards property investing, because this is such a small field, and if you do not have relationships in the right places, you end up being on the back foot. I'll give you an example. The more relationships you create with estate agents, the more reliable deals that you would be getting. For example, if you do come across an estate agent that understands what you are looking for as a property investor, it won't be wasting time when you are talking to them. For example, if you find yourself in a situation whereby you have this deal and this particular estate agent has actually worked with property investors, it puts you in a situation whereby you are able to actually get access to deals that haven't been on the market. I mean, we've been in situations whereby estate agents gave us deals that were not in the market as yet. They only marketed the property once we were out of that deal.
A lot of beginner investors make this mistake. If you're an accountant, as much as yes, you can balance your books of your business, you do not know the legal side. You do not know everything about the legal side. Or if you're a conveyancer, which is a property lawyer, you might not know in terms of, if I'll be buying this property, am I buying it at the right price? So ultimately, I've learned that I cannot invest alone. That's a mistake that a lot of beginner investors do, because where we are right now, we're constantly talking to a lawyer. We're constantly speaking to accountants. Just yesterday, we were on a call with the accountant.
Yeah.
Today, we're on a call with a lawyer. So ultimately, what we're pushing out there is that we need to start understanding that if we really want to grow this, yes, it's going to be painful for a lot of beginners when they're looking at it that I have to be paying. But look at it this way. If I am paying for a service that I know that it's going to strategically position me, then why is it a challenge? Because ultimately, I do want to scale. Number 2, this is the most fun part, Leo, about it, right? Is that a lot of people know us saying that, but Jens, why do you complicate property investing so much? You're speaking about numbers. You're speaking that property investing is a numbers game. Property investing is a numbers game, because at the end of the day, the reason why we are investing is because we want financial freedom. Financial freedom is attached to a number. And ultimately, for us to get there, we need to be buying at the right price. We need to be collecting the right money, and we need to be making sure that our expenses are at a certain price. Therefore, it's that famous saying, you make your money when you buy. So ultimately, as a beginner investor, if you don't necessarily even understand at what point should I be buying, then I shouldn't be buying, because you find yourself in situations whereby you could buy a property that's overpriced. What do we mean when we're saying overpriced? You find out the true value of a property is 1.3 million and you bought it at 1.6 million. Remember something, that when it comes to these type of sales, it's not like the bank is going to be saying that you bought it at overpriced. The transaction is going to go through. So it's our responsibility as property investors. So now I'm giving you the responsibility, property investors, that we should be understanding at what prices should we be buying before we sign the offer to purchase.
100%. Now, whenever we speak numbers, right, we end up understanding that numbers is a language. So now, us saying numbers is a language,
It's
a love language. It's my love language. So now, whenever we start speaking numbers, you find out that some people end up getting lost in terms of what do you really mean when you're talking about return on investment. Return on investment, which is also known as the ROI, is one of the most important things that you need to understand before buying a property. Now, the reason why I'm saying that return on investment is one of the biggest things that you need to understand is that return on investment, if you look at its own principle, right, it requires you to understand every single detail that is going to be going into the property.
This is before you even buy.
This is before you even buy. So we are able to determine how much we're going to be paying for our bond, the rates and taxes, all of our monthly expenses. Now, how this actually comes into play is that we are able to understand that how hard is our money working for us. And now how hard our money is working for us, it also gives us an idea in terms of if we wanted to scale this business, how long would it take for us to get to a certain level? So let me give you a quick example. Say for instance, if you're saying that our return on investment is 1%, we'll have two examples, right?
Yeah.
We'll have one whereby we're having 1%, and then the other one will be the one that is at 25%.
Yeah.
Now, with a return on investment of 1%, this basically tells us that it would take us 100 years in order for us to go through to get our money back. So if I invested 100,000, this will mean that it will take me 100 years to get that money back. So now how do we get to that?
Yeah.
We would then say that the 100, which is the total percentage that we might actually be getting, divided by 1, which will actually give you 100.
Sure.
Right? So now, if you're looking at it from that perspective, we are saying that if you're in rental and you're looking at getting your money back from that particular deal, it will actually take you 100 years. If you're looking at it from a flip perspective, and we are saying that every deal that you're going into is giving you 1%, that will ultimately mean that you need 100 deals in order for you to get the total money that you have actually invested. So if I've invested 100,000 and I'm looking to get 200,000, right, which is 100% of my money back, now that would mean that it would take me 100 years to get to the point. However, if you're looking at someone else that is investing in properties that are giving them 25%, now it moves from 100 years to 4 years. And how do we get to 4 years? We simply say the 100% divided by the return on investment, which is 25%, that gives us 4 years.
Yeah.
Which will ultimately mean that if we are in rental, it would actually take us 4 years to get our money back, right? And now looking at the other side, if it was a flip, it would take us 4 deals in order for us to get our money back.
You know, it actually hits me with that when you're speaking about these numbers, that there are some people that are probably not even going to see their returns in their lifetime. Because I'm looking at it from a perspective whereby if I'm 40 years and I went into a deal whereby my return on investment is 1%, I'm probably not going to see the return on investment in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So ultimately, hence we say that property investing is a numbers game, because if I have this information, let's just say that I'm looking at 2 deals, and now I'm looking at the one for 100 years and I'm looking at the one for 4 years. It's a no-brainer which one I would go into. Hence, we are saying that we're opening our doors. There is a link in our description whereby if you would like to book a Zoom and understand property investing more so that you are able to scale better, we would be more than happy.
So the last one, which is number 3, cheap is always expensive.
You know, that one needs to really sink in.
Can I repeat it again?
Please.
Cheap is always expensive. I need us to understand what we mean by cheap is always expensive. Cheap, for the most part of it, when you go towards buying something for property that you're actually fixing, right? Now, this is not for the property that you're going to be living in.
Yeah.
This is the property that we're fixing.
Sure.
For the most part of it, a lot of people would rather take the cheapest material and put it into that property. Now, we've had situations whereby we are buying door handles that are very cheap. But now
70 rands.
70 rands.
Yeah.
But now at the end of the day, we use it 3-4 times, and by the 5th time we actually use that door handle, it actually breaks. And now when you go back to the shop, they tell you that there is no guarantee. So now at the end of the day, you find yourself buying so many door handles that are cheap, whereas you could have just spent 280 rand to buy a quality door handle, whereby you will not need to actually replace so many times. What I would be an advocate of is that we need to find a balance, right? Of if it is a possibility that we are able to get the most cost efficient thing, however it's at a good quality, then that's what I would say that we actually need to go into. However, if we are saying that we are willing to compromise on the quality, then that's where the problems start.
100%. Level. That doesn't only go to your material, it also works with the people that you're actually working with. Because sometimes, especially as first-time beginners, it's not only the first-time beginners, even the guys that have been in the industry.
game, yeah.
And then now I'm looking at it in a sense whereby, you know what, if I can just get guys to quickly do a job. We've been in a situation whereby we went through to a development. The client was really happy about this. So I'm suspecting that the client did really negotiate. And then when we got there, we questioned a whole lot of things. And unfortunately, by that time, the development was done. Can you imagine having 11 units all completed? But now you can see that, you know what, there is no room for a stove, or the stove is awkwardly positioned, Or even here's another thing, right? Is that you'd go for cheap labor because you have this vision and you won't be questioned. This is something that, guys, please take note of this as investors, right? Is that a lot of us are looking too much in terms of saying that, you know what, if I can just get 20 units or if I can just get 40 units in that place, now you're not necessarily considering the space. So now your builder won't question you because you're taking out the cash. Right? So they won't really question you in terms of the size of the rooms. We've seen this within our experience that the more bigger the rooms are, especially when it comes to rental, that's when it works better. So you don't want to find yourself in a situations whereby the rooms are so small that now you're having a challenge when it comes to getting clients. So yes, you do have 40 units and you are not questioned by the builder because you got someone who is really, really cheap. And now you're finding yourself in a situations whereby you've got 40 units, but when it comes to getting a tenant, it's a struggle. So for me, as you did mention, Lewis, that let's try and get that balance.
Oh, now, you know, when you're talking about this, man, I would say that especially with your contractors, right, we need to understand that, not really understand, we need to find a situation whereby we trust our contractors. If you do not trust your contractor, then you have no business being in a deal with them, right? And now the reason why I'm saying this is that your contractor is the one that understands the rules and the bylaws of the municipal, right? So now if you are going to be, if what you had in mind is going to be going against what the municipal wants, the person that's going to be able to tell you is your builder. I was having a conversation with another builder and they were like, you know what, there's this other guy that built on the sewer line. I told them that they shouldn't build on the sewer line and they said that they are the ones that are paying. So at the end of the day, I needed to do exactly what they are asking for, because at the end of the day, they are the client. Now, the pipes, right, actually busted.
I can already imagine.
It busted into the house. Now, the situation or the problem was that now this person was blaming the plumber.
Of course.
That the problem here was not that he built on the sewer line. The problem was the plumber. And now you can only imagine that this thing actually busted into the house. The pressure was so much that it actually went into the house. So now imagine all of that things going into the house. So what I would say is that understand where your contractor is saying, what your contractor is saying, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that have the knowledge and the know-how on what you wanted them to do.
With the 3 points that we mentioned, literally it was us within 5 years making so many mistakes that you don't have to make. However, now what we're offering you is that on the 7th of December, we are hosting a property workshop just for you. So wherever you are in South Africa, or even if you are outside South Africa, this is an invite to you, man, because trust me when I say that the lineup will be epic and it will be nothing but quality content that will help you scale your property sustainably.
Yeah, so now tickets are selling at 550 per person, and then if you are coming as a couple, then that would be $900.